All right. We still have Jerry bringing in chairs and people still going through the line, but we want to try to stick as close to the schedule we've set to try to bring you as much information as possible and get you out of here by 1 o'clock. Because I got to be out of here by 1 o'clock, and probably most of y'all do too. So we're going to try to move this along. You've already been welcomed by Executive Director of the Saline County Economic Development Corporation, Lamont Cornwell. But welcome to those of you who are not here for that. I'm Shane Broadway. I'm the chairman of the board of the Saline County Economic Development Corporation. And we are honored that you took the time to join us today. It's an exciting time in Saline County. And we're just excited to be a part of this process and excited to bring you an update. And that's really what we want to do. I've had, and I know the judge and Lamont and everybody have had people asking, so what's the status? We've had the election, so what's next for the Saline Career Technical Center? And so we thought it would be a great time to do that, to kind of provide an update, tell you kind of the status of where we're at. And you're also going to get to see the first renderings of the facility today. And so we're excited about that you're going to get to see that. And then also, we've had a number of people ask me, obviously, about the educational components. And all the school districts that are going to be involved, College of the Ouachitas at Malvern, that is going to be operating the center, who is now joining the Arkansas State University system. And so a lot of people have asked, how does all that work? So we thought, I talked to Lamont, why don't we just get everybody together in one room, one place, and kind of bring everybody up to date, and also talk about the educational components of the Saline County Career and Technical Center. So that's why you're here today. We appreciate you coming. We were glad to sponsor this breakfast. Lunch. I want to thank, feels like breakfast. I want to thank Riverside, Catfish, Grocery, everything. If you hadn't been to their beer box, it's pretty good too. Pretty cold out there. Thanks to Riverside Grocery and Catering. Rick, back there in the back, thank you. Also want to thank Big Utilities for the providing the water today. So thank them. But again, we're just glad that you're here. Also, before I forget it, tonight, if you don't have anything to do, out at the Saline County Airport, Saline County International, at the Saline County Airport from 5 o'clock until 8 o'clock is what we are calling Picnic at the Port. There is a Airways Classic, which are women who are flying around the country this week, and we are one of the stops. Saline County Airport is, and so there's been a group who's been working for the last several weeks to put together a big event. There's going to be hot dogs and all kinds of stuff for the kids to do, games and everything. So from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock tonight, come out to the Saline County Airport and be a part of that. It's going to be a great event. Welcome these folks from out of state to our community, and hopefully the goal is obviously to continue being one of the stops for this Airways Classic into the future. So we want to put on our best face and best foot forward and show them the kind of hospitality we have here in Saline County. So come out and join us tonight. A few folks I want to recognize. This obviously would not be possible without all the support of the school districts. So I know we have several of the superintendents of the school district partners that are here today. If you would, just please stand up to make sure that we recognize you and your leadership of your district and being part of this. Some of us have been involved in this process for about 20 years, dating back to the original Career Center. We had that at the old Reynolds facility, but really it got reignited, and he is actually here today. The former school superintendent of the Benton School District, Jeff Cullen, drove all the way from Texas to see the first drawings of We are also fortunate, some of this along the way has required some legislation to do what we need to do as a county, and also with the way the funding formula works. And so that required our support of our legislators, some of whom I just left at the Capitol, who could not be here because they're still sitting in a committee room. Thankfully, they let me out to go. But Senator Hammer is probably going to arrive in a little while. Senator Kim Hammer has been a great supporter. Senator Alan Clark as well. We have with us today the chair of the Senate Education Committee from North Little Rock, Senator Jane English. Back here in the back, Senator English, thank you. She has been a proponent of career and technical education since before it began. Right, Senator? She's been doing it as long as I can recall and been around this process, and she's been the leader and the advocate. So we also have with us, I know, Representative Julie Mayberry. I saw her earlier. There she is. Representative Jason Kelly, I saw earlier as well. Right over here, there he is. And I know Representative Lanny Fight and Representative Andy Davis were both in the Personnel Committee that I just left, so they may be here a little later. Senator Alan Clark from Malvern has been a huge advocate for us throughout this process, and so I want to recognize him and thank him as well. And the actual site where the Career Center will be is in Senator Bill Sample's district. Senator Sample lives in Hot Springs Village. He's at the Capitol as well, sends his apologies that he couldn't be here. But he's been a big supporter of us as well. So I want to recognize all them to get all the legislators and school folks. Okay, just want to make sure I did that. All right, so now I'm going to turn this over. And one reason I want to do this personally is I haven't had a chance publicly to thank the two guys next to me. When Jeff moved to Texas, we were kind of trying to figure out what is our next step. And I've recognized the school districts, they never gave up on this process, but it's these two guys to my right who really took the ball with it and ran. And they're the reason we're sitting here today, because there was a lot of work that had to be done to get us to the process to even get to a vote. And that's why also at this time, if there are any justices of the peace that are here, members of the quorum court and county officials, if you would please stand, because of your contribution and your putting this out to the people. If it were not for the leadership of Judge Airy and the quorum court, this would have never gone to a vote of the public, and you would have never had a chance to bring this to our community. So Judge Airy, Lamont Cornwell have put in an enormous amount of time, and they deserve the recognition. And that was up till election day. Just imagine, you have no idea how much time since election day that these two guys have put in, trying to bring this project to fruition. So to bring you an update on where we are and kind of the next steps in the development of the center, please welcome Saline County Judge Jeff Airy.
Thank you, Frank. First thing I want to do is thank everybody that's here in this room today. Because if you're here today, then you played a role in making sure that this project comes to a reality. So if you're here today, I thank you for your hard work and your dedication on this project. If it wasn't for you, we would never really be here. This took a lot of work from a lot of different people, and you were part of that. So thank you very much. This center, the Saline County Career and Technical Campus, is going to provide some technical training for students that's going to lead to some of the highest demand jobs in Arkansas. It's going to enrich those lives, many, many people for decades to come. And not only that, it's going to change the outlook of Saline County in the standpoint of bringing us economic development, because industry is going to want to locate here because we're going to provide them with the trained workers that they need to be successful. You know, if you think about the things that had to take place over the last 6 years, and this is how this all started, was 6 years ago in 2013, out of a study that was commissioned by the Saline County Economic Development Commission. And by the way, I know we've got directors or board members from the Saline County Economic Development Commission with us here today. I want y'all to stand up. If you're part of the Saline County Economic Development Corporation, you know, it was out of that study that came a lot of different ideas. And this group that just sat down and said, let's pick one. Let's pick one of these ideas and let's go for it. Let's say this is what we think will have the biggest impact on economic development. Pick that idea out of that study and let's make that happen. And that's what that group did. So if if you think about all the things that have taken place in the last 6 years to try to get to this point, it's kind of crazy. Of the different roads that we went down and had to veer off and get back on, and get off track and get back on track. In fact, if we were here 6 years ago with this group trying to tell this story, if we brought you in and we said, we have a plan to build a Saline County Saline County Technical Campus, and this is our plan, okay? So this is the first time you've even heard about it, and I'm telling you the plan, 6 years ago. First of all, the county's gonna own the building and the campus, but only after we get our legislators to pass some new legislation to make it legal for counties to do so, because right now, the counties can't really do that. And then, we're gonna actually get the 6 school districts in the county, and the 6 superintendents, and their 6 school boards to actually work together to develop a financial plan, okay? And collectively, they are going to pay for the operational and maintenance costs and utility costs of the center going forward. And then, we're gonna go to another county, and we're gonna get a college in another county to come to our county and staff and teach the programs in the school. But only after we go to the board of Arkansas Career Ed and get a waiver to allow them to do so, because they can't do it without that waiver. And then we're gonna go and get the support of Saline County Quorum Court, city officials, our state representatives and state senators, and even our governor, okay? And then we're gonna actually get the Benton Chamber of Commerce, the Bryant Chamber of Commerce, the Hot Springs Village Chamber of Commerce, and over 150 businesses to support and promote a campaign that's actually going to convince the Saline County voters by an overwhelming majority to pass a 3/8% temporary sales tax to pay for the construction. That's our plan. Well, that was not our plan. But that is what happened. You know, what happened 6 years ago was 6 school districts, along with city and county officials, the Saline County Economic Development Corporation, the 3 chambers of commerce, worked together one step at a time towards one goal of developing and building a Saline County Career Campus. And then the voters last November took that one more step by saying, you know what? We believe it. We want to make that investment in the future of our young people and the future of Saline County. And we believe that's a worthwhile cause, and we're going to pass that temporary sales tax because we believe in Saline County. That's what happened. That's what happened last November. And isn't that grand? I hope y'all are as excited to see about what you're about to see as I am. I'm super excited, and I've already seen it. But since that time in November, one of the things that we've done is I put together a steering committee. And this steering committee would help guide this process of the architectural and design of the project and all the way through construction phase. And so I appointed a few people that I'm going to recognize today, and that is Lamont Cornwell, the executive director of the Saline County Economic Development Commission, is on that steering committee, as well as Gary James with the Greater Area Benton Chamber of Commerce, as well as Dr. Mike Skelton with the Benton School District, and Dr. Karen Walters with the Bryant School District. And one of our first tasks of that steering committee was to develop an RFQ to select an architectural firm. And we had 7 responses to that RFQ. All prestigious firms, some from within the state and even from other parts of the United States, made submittals. And we took individually each of these 7 submittals, took them back home, and scored them over a 2-week period, and then got back together and compiled those scores. And the highest winning firm, I'm happy to announce, if you don't already know, was actually Black, Corley, Owens, and Hughes right here in Saline County. And so Brian Black. Brian Black and his team have been very, very hard at work over the last several months developing what you're about to see here today and moving this ball down the line. Now, Brian was supposed to be here today and is not able to be here with us today because he had a medical emergency. So I ask that you keep Brian and his family, in his hearts and in your hearts and prayers moving forward. But they have been extremely hard at work over the last several months, and we are extremely excited to show you for the first time in public what the Saline County Career Technical Campus is going. And I'm going to turn it over to Lamont Cornwell to show you this. And before I turn it over to Lamont, I'm going to say this about Lamont. Over the last 6 years, there's been several times that we thought we had the end of the road with this project. And every single time, Lamont would not let this thing die. He just was always calm, always confident, and just said, hey, let's keep pushing. Let's keep pushing. Just like a shepherd looking after his sheep, that was Lamont. And I appreciate him, and I do not think that this project would be where we're at today if it was not for his efforts. So Lamont, thank you for what you did.
I feel like a Southern Baptist preacher. I was talking about salvation, and they asked him how he knew he was saved, and he used the term politically correct for the teachers. I've done it. So I think we've all done this, and thank you, Jeff, and Shane. And, there's a lot of people who have a lot to do with this. But before I show you this rendition of what Black Coy Owens has come up with, I'm going to ask the Black Coy Owens and Hughes group to please stand. Without you and your hard work, we would not even be close. Please stand. This is the group that put this together. And I know they worked hard because I was in Shelby's office at 6:30 this morning. So I know that they worked hard and they showed up early. So I appreciate them that they got the opportunity to do this for us. I'm going to take a little time today, just a short period of time, to go through and let you see what you voted. Let you see what your financial benefit will do. This school, for instance, I'm going to give you a comparative size before we even start. It is 5 times the size of this center. When you look at the picture, it does show the scope. 140,000 square feet. 5 times the size of what you're sitting in this whole center right now. So I want you to listen to what we've got, see what we've got going. Now, at the end of our presentation, we're going to turn it over to Codo and SU, and they're going to do their presentation. And then, if you would, withhold your questions till the end. We're all going to sit up here and stay as long as you wish to answer questions, okay? That is where the Career Technical Education Campus is going to be located. It's 3.5, 4 miles from downtown Benton. It's located on the interstate, not off the interstate. Visible on 27 acres on the highest part of that hill out there at the very corner of Mountain View Road and the service road. You'll see a 27-acre site. That 27-acre site will be divided as we build the center on the front of it so it's visible from the interstate. Will be divided into 4 major areas. The major areas are the common area, the STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. We've got the art of that process. The common area for meeting and greeting, and then the heavy transition area, or the heavy area for the heavy equipment. This is the way it will lay on the site. The reason we built it this way on the site is the most visible site from the interstate. It is on a tract of land, and it is as level as we could find out there. It's on 27 acres. It's 5 acres of fixture and for future expansion. You have 3 main entrances to the building. Safety was an issue for our superintendents. How do you protect the school? So you have a safety issue there that we've gone through, so that doors were locked, so you can go out, but you can't come in through airlocks at the front doors. We've got a 5-acre expansion. We've got a 1-mile walking track, an aesthetically pleasing site. I'm going to go through this door, if you would, 4 by 4. There's 4 basic areas. I'm going to go through some of the floors. This is the first floor on the right side, if you would, or on the east side of the building. This is the cybersecurity floor, the industrial equipment manufacturing floor, the advanced manufacturing floor. It is the floor where your robotics are and a lot of your heavy work. This sits on the main floor, making it more easily accessible. We're getting that equipment onto that floor.
The middle floor is called the common area. It's where people will meet and greet and gather. The educators told us they needed to have an area where they could seat 400 people. So as they come together for a common theme or a common process or common educational purposes, the students that attended that center would have a place to all sit together. So in that common area in the middle, you'll see a 400 seating complex. You'll see the main entry, which will have an airlock, which you'll have to be buzzed in and buzzed out for protection purposes. The administration offices will be in that process, plus shipping and receiving. And in behind where you see the seating area, there will be a food court. We do not intend to cook in the center, but we do want to have a place for vending machines where you can get a sandwich, where the students can bring lunch if they wish to stay and seat. And then there's a large open area behind that, which we envision seeing couches and chairs and comfortable areas where they can sit and view the center. This is the main floor on the west side, which is the heavy equipment side. If you'll notice there, it is automobile, construction management, HVAC, 2 HVAC areas, plus welding. Each of these centers meet the standards required by Arkansas Career Ed in both square footage and in classroom space. Each area has a classroom set aside for each lab. Each one of those facilities are called labs. So it's an operation that would work very well, feasible with loading and unloading outside with overhead doors, accessibility for the process. On the right side of the center, as you look at it, is going to be the high-tech area. Most of the STEM area will be here. We'll meet our medical professionals there. We'll meet with our information technologies will be there. Our anatomy and physiology will be there. A lot of the STEM research will be on that side. I call that the quiet side of the building, and the other side the loud side. So we're trying to separate them with the common area so that they don't overbleed. You'll also notice that the right side is 2-story, the left side is 1-story building, and the second floor meets the 1 floor on the other side. That is because of the topography of the land. The building will not require any retaining walls like we had first thought about, which is a nice savings for us. It's a 5% slope, so it's easy to maintain and build on that slope area. So there's a catwalk between the first floor on the left side and the second floor on the right side. Plus, I also asked Ryan, he laughed about it when we talked about it. Let's have a big elevator on the right side, so if we have to move equipment up and down, we don't have to hold it down the stairways. And he obliged us with that larger elevator. It kind of reminded me of a funeral home where you need to carry caskets in. Anyway, I laughed and said that when we went through the planning stages. We discovered in our system design that we had some space upstairs above the heavy equipment labs. Our teachers said we really need some classroom space in this for maybe higher ed or maybe continuing education, or maybe if our students say we have a student in the Benton Bryan School District that may only like an English class, but yet they want to attend the CTE Center their senior year. We could then provide a classroom space which will seat up to 30 people, 25 to 30 people, over 900 square feet in each one of those places. And one on the end, we would probably make one large classroom out of. And that is space above and almost like wasted space that we need to utilize. And it'll be almost 1,367 square feet and provide us the opportunity to have classroom space within our facility. This is a look, I talked about a 5% elevation. This is a look at the elevation from left to right from a front view as you look at it from the interstate. I don't know how we got the plane stopped up there, but it's there. This is the back view, still attractive, still looks great, there's some motivational lettering across the top of it that you can't read. Some quotes from any of the major groups like Steve Jobs or people of that nature. We'll put some quotations up there, which makes it great. And this is the way it will look at night from the front view. You'll notice there's a lot of windows on the front. And you know, Dr. Welch, wouldn't it be great through those windows if you could see a red wolf on that wall? Benton Panther, or Ryan Horn, or Bauxite Mine, and all, or Sheridan, or Linrose. I mean, those are something we talked about where you could go by at night. But what Brian said he wanted to do was to give us a center that looked different at night than it did in the daytime. So when you looked at it, it looked like a completely different center. I believe that he has accomplished that process. This is another look at the parking lot up front for you know, the folks that might come in for there, but there's plenty of commuter parking in the back, over 1,000, right at 1,000 parking places. Another view from Interstate of the front of the building is you would come from the west. That's what that's going to look like. That's what you guys have done. You've done it. You put us in a situation to make this happen. This is the nice way of how it looks on the inside. Nice, clean. Students can walk around in an environment that makes it an official. This is our classroom space. This is, you can tell there's a skeleton in the back. This is one of our medical classroom designs. Nothing is welded to the floor. Everything is on rollers, chairs, tables, everything else. One of the things that we saw when we went to Frisco and Dallas, and other places where they had these centers, flexibility was the key. Flexibility of what you teach, flexibility of classroom space. So nothing is bolted to the floor. You won't see any heavy computer fixed stations around the wall because everybody now uses all small computers, handheld operations. All they need, they don't need all that heavy equipment anymore. So everything is flexible. So if we want to teach something in this class today and something tomorrow, it can easily be changed and be flexible to teach what we want to teach in that center. So we're providing you for something, and I don't remember, you've heard me talk 1,000 times about this. I've given so many speeches about this over this county that you just wouldn't imagine. Everywhere from East End, Hot Springs Village, to Glen Rose, everywhere there is to go. I always said one thing at the end of the meeting. We cannot train our kids, we cannot train our future. We can't train our future for our kids, but we can train our kids for our future. And that is what we're trying to do in Saline County. What you need to understand, there's not another center like this in the state of Arkansas. This is by far the best, biggest, and largest center that teaches 6 high schools in the state of Arkansas at the secondary level that's owned by the county. County stepped up, you stepped up, thank you. You made this happen. Now, I've done a lot of talking in this process. We'll look at Q&As in a minute. And I'm going to step back and give you a visual of what it would look like if you drive around our center. You'll notice we're calling it a campus. They rebuilt a 48 GMC pickup in there. It's the first vehicle I ever had. Notice the walking trails to the side. There'll be over a mile walking trails around the center. Also to the right of the center will be the owners of the property have donated 1 point some odd acres to the right of our center. As you look at it, there will be a detention pond. And then to the right of that will be the place they donated to the city for the fire station when it's needed. So land's available there for that process. I know the police chief is here. It's great to have land already available for the expand out that area as that area grows. Every place we've seen a center like this, growth is following. I have no doubt in my mind that will be the exact thing that happens here. So, I'll turn this over to Shane in a minute, but I would like for you, once again, to thank the Black Corleones and Hughes family for what they've done. And it is a family. If you hadn't walked out and seen them, they're a family. They work hard, they all work together. And they show up at 6 in the morning, and that's beyond me that they do that. So I appreciate them and what they've done. Let's give them one more hand. Okay, we've done it. Now, how do we work with CODO and ASU? And I'm going to turn this over to Shane. Thank you.
Thank you, Lamont. That's, wow. Let's give another hand to everybody involved. I saw it last week, and I immediately texted it to these guys, because it's just beyond any imagination that you could ever have for a center like this. And having been around in it, I guess the last any kind of effort like this was what is now the ASU Heber Springs games, where a community passed a tax and built a facility. And so that's well over 20 years ago, or right at 20 years ago. And so you're part of something very historic, but obviously being owned by the county has never happened. And so this will be the first time. So, kind of like to Lamont's reference about a church, you've got the building, but what's important is what happens inside the building. And the lives that are going to be changed by the education that's going to be provided on the inside. Providing education to students, giving them a chance at a career and a life that maybe they never could have imagined. Every year in the 6 school districts that are a part of this facility, there are 500 students who graduate from these school districts who the next fall do not enroll in some sort of college, 2-year college or 4-year university. And that's really who is a lot of the target for this location. Providing these students, while they're in high school, an opportunity to learn a career, a skill, a trade, whatever it may be. It's going to give them an educational process that hopefully leads them on to college or a university, but at least puts them on that path and creates a pathway for an education and an opportunity for a career. And so that's what's exciting about what's going to happen on the inside for the students in our community and the lives that are going to be changed. And I've been to many of these centers, and you can see it in their faces. I always talk about the welding class at Bryant High School. And a friend of mine was one of the teachers, and he would tell you about these were kids who were about that far from dropping out. But we gave them an opportunity to do something with their hands. Do something that it opened their eyes to a whole different world of school than they had ever dreamed of school being. And some of those guys are now making $100,000 a year because they took welding courses. And that's what this center is going to offer. I mentioned it's been a great year for Saline County. Earlier this year, we had the big announcement of Course Tech announcing their expansion. And the judge and Lamont and I all had dinner with them the night before with the governor, and we were talking about this center. Every conversation we have with an existing or future employer is going to begin with this center. Because them hearing about it, because this was the Coors guys, the Coors family. Not just the local folks, these were Adolph Coors' grandsons. They said, sign us up. We want to provide equipment, we want to be involved, we want to be engaged. And when they think about what their next expansion is going to be, don't you think they're going to think about Saline County? They could put that expansion or their next expansion anywhere in the world. But this, I think, is going to give us a leg up for this and a lot of other projects. And I know a lot of our economic development friends and state chamber friends and career education friends are here today. This is going to set us apart that we haven't had the opportunity to do. So, the education that's going to happen inside is going to happen from the College of the Ouachitas that come January 1 will be a part of the Arkansas State University system. We've been joking for the last few weeks about what we're going to call it. Right now, I'm going with ASU something. That's kind of my top vote getter. But I'm honored today to introduce my boss. This is switching back to my other role, my day job. Dr. Chuck Welch was actually student body president at the University of Arkansas the same year I was student body president at Arkansas State University. So he and I go back a long ways. He has been at every level of higher education, including the chancellor of a 2-year campus, the president of a 4-year university at Interstate, and now the president of the second largest system and the youngest president of a system in the United States of America. He is also the incoming president of the American Association of State Colleges and Universities. Of over 400 universities in America, he is about to become the president of that organization. So I am honored that I have the privilege each and every day to work with him, leading our system, and he's going to talk a little bit about that ASU something part and what we're very excited about as a university. So please welcome Dr. Chuck Welch.
Thank you, Shane. I could listen to Shane all day, and for a second there I thought I might have to. So, it's actually just refreshing to be with Shane, not at a pancake breakfast or a funeral. That seems to be why he's always out of the office. But he works so hard and believes so strongly in Saline County, and I know this project has been something that's been very important to him, and we're all very excited about what opportunities may exist there. Let me start by saying that workforce education is so critical right now for not only our state, but for our young people, to ensure that we have that trained workforce that's going to allow them to have the opportunities that they seek, and to ensure that we're able to recruit and retain the type of business and industry that will make our economy continue. And Senator English is someone who's talked about workforce education for as many years as I can remember, and has definitely been a leader in that. And Senator, we appreciate you, and hopefully this will be a great illustration of exactly what can be done and what works to further our workforce. Representative Mayberry was introduced already, and she's been supported. I'm not quite as interested in speaking to Representative Mayberry as I am Arkansas State student Ellie Mayberry over here, because we got to make sure and give that shout out. If you think this isn't important to us at Arkansas State, consider that Saline County is one of our largest counties of market share now for students at that university in Jonesboro. We have so many. And then obviously this partnership that we have with ASU to be named is what I call it. So is going to be a wonderful opportunity as well. I would be remiss if I didn't just commend you on your vision and on your commitment to getting this done. I mean, that's an awesome way of illustrating just how difficult these partnerships can be and how many different hurdles have to be overcome. But where there is a will, there is a way, and obviously this worked. And I think the same thing can be said for the partnership that the Arkansas State University system and College of the Ouachitas have. This process of them joining the system has been an ongoing conversation for 20 years total, I guess, but really reignited in the last 3 years, in which I participated in a number of discussions with administrators and the board of trustees at College of the Ouachitas. And so what I wanted to do today, just very briefly, is just talk about that partnership and what it means and what it doesn't mean, and then let Dr. Rook talk a little bit about the specifics of what will be offered in this particular center. The ASU system has we serve a little over 35,000 students annually at campuses in Jonesboro, Beebe, Mountain Home, Newport, West Memphis, which is called Mid-South, Heber Springs, Searcy, and Martin Tree. And so this will be another, obviously, Malvern, and then this site will also be added to that list come January 1st. One of the myths, though, that I want to dispel that some people, I think, assume is that this is a takeover. It is not a takeover. This is not a situation where we came in to save College of the Ouachitas or provide them with some sort of much-needed assistance. This is not going to be a branch campus of Jonesboro. This is going to be a true partnership, just like Lamont was talking about the partnerships within the county. This is an opportunity for College of the Ouachitas to be able to utilize resources throughout our system, to leverage some of the volume that we have, to be able to utilize that to provide even more opportunities to the communities that they serve. They will maintain their independent accreditation, they will maintain their independent appropriation, and they will continue to do business and have as much local autonomy as possible. One thing I can assure you is that beyond any shadow of a doubt, every person in the ASU system office believes very strongly in the purpose, the importance, and the critical need for workforce education, technical education. I understand that. Being a first-generation college student, so many of my family members didn't have that opportunity, didn't have that desire to go to college. They could have really utilized those workforce education skills and maybe would have had a different path in their own lives. We're going to be here to provide support. We're going to be here to allow College of the Ouachitas to have cost savings and have resource sharing and to have additional political influence and advocacy and legal representation and data analytics and all the different kinds of things that will allow them to really maximize their performance and the benefits and the opportunities that they can provide to this location. Obviously, this is extremely exciting because of the potential, not just for those 6 school districts that were mentioned, not just for those high school students, but if there are adults that we can serve in the evenings or on the weekends, if there are displaced workers that we can serve, if there's short-term training opportunities, if there are opportunities to bring degrees from other ASU campuses, whether that be baccalaureate or graduate degrees, and bring them to Saline County and utilize some of those partnerships. Obviously, the first mission is going to be for those 6 school districts. But if there's opportunities to do beyond that, that's what we want to do. And we have a great track record of doing that with our campuses. And I've got to tell you, in the short time since College of the Ouachitas made the decision to join our system, it has been an amazing experience. These folks are driven, they're focused, they're organized, they're in great financial shape, they know what they want to do, and they get out there every day and do it. So I have no doubt that this is going to be an immensely successful endeavor, that we're going to be able to educate thousands of students, that we're going to be able to lift up the economy of Saline County and the surrounding region, and we're going to be able to provide something for your constituents, for your population that has already been said, no one else in the state has. And that's not an exaggeration. This is really going to be something no one else has. And so we're very excited about that. We look forward to working with you on that. Dr. Steve Rook has done an exemplary job as president of College of the Ouachitas. He's been a longtime friend of mine. From the very first day that we started having conversations about merging, he started asking about this project. And can you help us with that? Is this something we can be focused on? Is this something you can do? And I can assure you that that would be the case. And so I'd like for Dr. Rook now to come forth and talk a little bit about some of the specific programming that will be in the center. Dr. Rook.
Thank you, Dr. Welch. First of all, let me just say on behalf of our Board of Trustees that we are absolutely thrilled to be a part of this. I started 3 years ago. One of my goals was trying to increase the activity and our involvement in Saline County. And I think because of the generosity of the judge and Lamont, I think we've certainly increased our activity in Saline County with this project. Been a great 18 months. I've been here 3 years. The last 18 months have been incredible. Being a part of this project and joining the ASU system. And let me tell you very quickly, when in this 3-year process where we were considering systems, and there would not have been a bad decision as far as the systems that are within the state, there were several factors that led to the decision to join the ASU system. Of course, one of those was what Dr. Welch meant about still having input in our future and still having input into what happens to College of the Ouachitas in our service area. But I'll tell you, a lot of things were taken into consideration because of Saline County. I got some phone calls from folks in Saline County when the time was made to make those decisions. The fact that Saline County is a large feeder to ASU Jonesboro, certainly a consideration. And one of probably the best assets that we get out of being part of the ASU system is the gentleman right here to my left, Shane Broadway. There's nothing like having Shane Broadway on your side. So those are some of the reasons that we decided to join the ASU system. Okay, I'll take that $5 after we're done. Just to familiarize you a little bit with College of the Ouachitas, we are a 2-year comprehensive institution. We have everything from transfer degrees, technical degrees, adult education, and non-credit workforce training. We have around 1,300 students. They're on the Malvern campus. We have a site in Sheridan where we have an LPN program. Seeing Randy Morris in the audience, he was one of our former directors of our adult education program. I think we have one of the best in the state. But one of the key components of our on-campus programs is our Career Center, our Ouachita Career Center. That's what will be the main focus of this building during the day. It's those 10 programs that you saw as Lamont went through each one of the floors. And those programs were decided upon by the folks in this room. The Saline County Business and Industries decided those are the programs that we need training in the most. So that's why those programs are being offered. But that is a part of our secondary career center. There will be juniors and seniors that will come to this campus to learn how to fix cars, to weld, become nurses. Now, what's the ironic thing is we're hoping after 2 or 3 years that we'll have about 1,140 students in this facility. But this is a satellite of our Malvern campus. And the Career Center in Malvern has about 350 students, 6 different programs. We serve, and I'm looking at Kim Robertson, about 7 different school districts. 13. That's only half, right? We serve 13 different school districts, and just recently, Benton and Bryant, I believe Harmony Grove. Of course, Glen Rose has always been one of our participating schools. But this will be a satellite, so it may be 3 times bigger, but it is a part of the Ouachita Career Center. Kind of how this came about is I received a phone call from Lamont asking me if he'd like to join a meeting and maybe listen to what's going on and become a part of it. And we are the local educational agency for this program. So we will be in control of what goes on during the day in that building. Funding comes from the state, from the Career and Technical Education Department. We get about $1,900 per student, and all of that will go to run the program here in Saline County. It will pay for an assistant director, it will pay for clerical staff, it will pay for full-time, part-time faculty, for all those programs. So that's how that will be funded, and that's how we will run it. We, as Dr. Welch mentioned, there will be general education opportunities for students who possibly want to stick around and take a college algebra course, English comp, so we'll have spots for that. And we're hoping, is like Dr. Welch said, students at this center will be able to get an associate's degree, a bachelor's degree, and hopefully someday soon a graduate degree. So with that, I believe, unless there's something else I need to add, I'll turn it back over to Mr. Broadway.
Thank you, Dr. Rook. Give him a big hand. Senator Kim Hammer did arrive back there in the back. Thank you, Senator. Appreciate you for being here. All right, we've got plenty of time for questions. I didn't speak that long. I could go all day talking about this place. But we've got some folks walking around with microphones. If you've got specific questions about the facility, the timeline, or anything like that that you might have, and if you don't, I'll make up something. Questions?
With this design, there were some changes. Has the budget changed as well?
With the design and the changes, has the budget changed as well?
The building was redesigned to fit the topography of the land to help us on the cost. There's absolutely no additional budget changes. We just felt like this would better serve the needs of our students based on the design. The design you saw was done by Stantec Corporation out of Berkeley, Michigan. It was merely their suggestion. It was an X-shaped structure, not as functional. This is more functional and safer. We had to deal with the safety issues with the other structure, with all the ways to get in and out of the building. So we chose to look at a design that more fit the topography of the land.
Hi, my question is, what is the projected timeline from the point dirt is turned to the time you expect students to enter the building?
All this is subject to a lot of different things, obviously, but we would hope that we're turning dirt by the first of the year, and that we hope the center is open for the fall of the 2021 year.
Thank you.
As ones who have been involved in a hotel project that are now at 132 rain days, can you give that caveat? Everybody understands that timeline possibility can change. So
Just the simple topography of the land out there, it really helps us. It drains every which way. We're in the almost top of a hill, and it drains all the way around. So getting back in after rain will be much easier at this site.
And I will add that the bonds have been sold. Jack and Leanne from Stevens Inc. is here. The bonds have been sold and the money is in the bank. Sold in one day.
That just reminded me of something that, and Leanne Burnett and Jack are both here. And Leanne sent me this I think right after the day after the bonds were sold. And it was actually an email from one of their investors that she passed on. And I'm gonna read it for you because I just think it's kind of perfect for this. So this gentleman said, "Debt for the sake of debt is a bad idea, especially for taxpayer-supported entities. But borrowing money supported by serviceable tax revenues to finance a worthwhile project that improves the lives of citizens is a worthy pursuit. Your firm is a great franchise with these kind of deals. You should go talk to Missouri."
All right, other questions?
Will the educators be from the colleges, or will they be actual employees of the center?
Great question. Will the educators be employees of the college or the center?
They will be employees of the college, they'll be employees of the secondary career center. And since I've got the microphone back, I was remiss in not introducing the folks at the very front table. These are all my folks from college, the Ouachitas. And we actually have some of our career center faculty here, so when this is over, if you got some specific questions, we've got Cameron Barber from our construction trades, we've got Randy Williams from our CNA, and we've got Mr. Johnny Bratton from automotive. So if you really are interested in some of these programs, they can give you the very, very specifics and details of those programs.
They have a lot to do with the design of the center too.
Yes, and they had, and Kim Robertson, who was our director, had great input. We appreciate the ability to have that input into the design of this center.
And some of y'all probably already know this, but back in July of last year, there was an MOU created that College of the Ouachitas, the 6 school districts in the county entered into. And that MOU really laid out the responsibilities and roles of each of the entities in the role of this school. So real simple, the county is actually going to own the campus and the buildings and facilities. The 6 school districts, of course, will be responsible for the operational cost, maintenance cost, and utility cost, and then the College of the Ouachitas is responsible for actually staffing and teaching the programs in the school. One of the things that the MOU did was also set up and create an operational board. That operational board will be made up of the 6 superintendents from the school districts, a representative from the College of the Ouachitas, the county judge, and then 2 community leaders that are actually appointed by the county judge. And that operations board will really have administrative duties and much like a school board does at a local school district, for example.
All right, other questions?
What would the cost be to the students? How does that play out?
Cost, what will the cost be to the students? I know the answer. You want us to say it? 0. Unless they're going to come at night or take a concurrent course. But if they're coming from one of the 6 school districts during the day, that is all paid for through those funds that Dr. Rook mentioned. Okay.
You answered a little bit of my question. I wondered if it would be only used during the daytime. You said it would be used at night. Would it also be used for something other than high school students, such as adult education?
Saline County is not in our service area for our adult education program, unfortunately. But yes, what we're hoping is that once we get everything up and running, the primary focus of this building, that we will have access to it in the evenings and weekends for anyone. I'll be honest with you, I'm hoping that we can possibly start a practical nursing program here a couple of years after it gets open. And I know that on the weekends, hopefully we can partner, we'll be hopefully about it, we'll be a part of ASU, and we're going to encourage them to come in and do some upper level courses and hopefully lead to a bachelor's degree where people can stay in Saline County and finish it for at least a 4-year degree.
And one thing that ASU Jonesboro is doing is, and eventually I think they will have an office here too, but beginning this fall, A-State Online, which is the online arm of Arkansas State University Jonesboro, will have an office in Malvern. So if you want to get your online degree, you can come into that office and get signed up and have your staff support and everything else through College of the Ouachitas and the ASU office at CODA.
Add a little bit of another answer to Shelley's question. So obviously we want to make sure that we take care of our responsibilities to these 6 school districts. That's the main focus of this campus. But then we all know that at night, on weekends, and in the summertime, the building, we don't want the building to be empty. We want it to be utilized by the public. It's a county-owned building. However, that operations board that I talked about just a while ago, if we have outside agencies or even College of Ouachitas or ASU or others that want to utilize the building, especially for classes, in those times it's not being used, that would be something that'll have to be worked out through that operations board. I mean, these 6 school districts are responsible for the operational costs, maintenance costs, utilities. So those, what I'm saying is, those office or classrooms would be available for lease.
I guess my question is, how are students selected for the program? I mean, obviously, is any student there allowed to, or do they have to sign up, or is there a limit per school district?
Dr. Walters, you want to maybe talk about that? You do it. Skelton's way in the back, it's hard to find. Where do you go?
So we've actually prorated the seats by school district. It's based on our student populations. For example, Bryant will have about 40% of the seats. But we also have in the MOU that Judge Airy spoke about that we can sell seats. So if I don't have enough students that want in a certain program, for instance, welding, if Mr. Bennett from Harmony Grove says, hey, I need some extra welding seats, then we're able to trade seats. So we are gonna have a cap. We hope to see that grow, each year, but there is gonna be a prorated number of seats, but like I said, we can trade.
How do they sign up? Maybe the first come, first served?
They will sign up through their counselors at their high schools. We start in January, I won't speak for the other districts, but we start in January, putting out there what courses that we have. Our students will then sign up, these are the classes that I would like to take. So we start that process then. We'll know in March, and it may be that we go to Dr. Wilk, Ms. Robertson, and say, hey, we've got a lot more kids that have signed up for this. Can we add a section of nursing, or can we add a section of computer science? So it'll be very fluid depending on the needs of our students and the interest that we see.
We'll add a little bit to that too. At the advice of Stevens and the 2 folks we mentioned in the back room, we chose to do a taxable bond instead of a tax-free bond. By virtue of doing a taxable bond issue, it allowed us to run this much like a business. We're able to do most anything we want to do within that center, such as rent out rooms, name rooms after people. If you want to furnish equipment to work in the center, just like you want to furnish HVAC equipment or course tags, some folks want to furnish things to go in the system, we can do that now because we are a taxable bond issue. So that seemed to give us complete control of our building, what we can do. And basically, we need to run it like a business. We need to make it profitable. And I think we'll probably do that.
All right, any other questions? All right, Dr. Walters, any of the school folks, anything we need to add that we haven't talked about today to make sure everybody's aware? Again, we're talking about the fall of 21, right, Judge? Fall of 2021 will be the first classes that will walk into those doors, and I'm sure we'll have we'll send you out when it's time to break ground to get this kicked off around the first of the year, and then keep you updated as it progresses. But anytime you have any questions, regarding the center or activities of the center or programs in the center, please let any one of us know. We'll be glad to get you any information that you need to be able to, especially if you've got an industrial or economic development prospect. We'll be glad to visit them as well. So, anything else? We'll turn it back over to Lamont.
I've been directed down here by my director to let y'all know that this is something that we do on our Malvern campus. The students who go through the Career Center and become completers, which there is a criteria for that, they become successful completers. And as they move on into their college careers, they receive a 50% tuition discount at college of the Ouachitas. So they'll be able to continue their technical education with us at 50% tuition rate.
We get the same thing to issue too, right?
If they go to college, they cut all their wood getting.
There you go, there you go. As we leave, and thank everybody for being here, it's been a blessing, we get out on time, I like to run my meetings on time, we're 5 minutes early. But, we mentioned that Brian Black is not here today. Well, he actually is here today. He's in a hospital across the way on about the 6th floor with a window facing this way, thinking about us. So as you leave today, turn and wave to Brian. So, and wish him your best, continue to keep his wife is here, and our prayers go with her. A lot of your team is here, I see at the front table, when we asked y'all to stand, they didn't, but you're part of the process design team sitting here at the table. So, thank you for being here. A much better crowd than we expected. I appreciate y'all. I believe Riverside had water down the sewer. Y'all have a great night. Thank you.